The story begins with a high school girl sitting elegantly on a desk, enthusiastically showing her friend a new smoothie she discovered on her phone, asking if it looks delicious. Her friend knows that the smoothie is probably loaded with calories and teasingly warns her that it's bound to make her gain weight. It's lunchtime, and the two girls are engaged in a lighthearted conversation inside the classroom when another classmate, a guy, walks back in after returning from the bathroom. He immediately notices the girl sitting on his desk, which irritates him slightly since he usually likes to nap there during the lunch break. Not wanting to interrupt their lively discussion, he plans to spend some time wandering around the hallway instead of confronting the situation. Just as he is about to leave, the girl sitting on his desk looks up, finally noticing his presence, and asks with a hint of curiosity if the seat she's occupying is actually his. He was startled and surprised, not expecting the girl to be the one to address him. After a brief moment, he confirmed that it was indeed his seat. She quickly apologized, making a small gesture as she prepared to move away from his desk. Her friend, noticing the exchange, seemed unfamiliar with him and asked about the boy. The girl, with a teasing smile, playfully scolded her friend for being so inattentive, pointing out that he was the one who always napped at that desk during lunch, known as Kageyama. Kageyama couldn't help but feel a bit stung by the way he was introduced. Being reduced to just the guy who naps left him mildly disappointed, but he soon brushed it off, feeling relieved that he had reclaimed his desk without any issues. As the girls continued their conversation, he settled in, ready to take his usual nap, content that the situation had resolved itself smoothly. Other male students, noticing Kageyama's brief interaction with the girl, are immediately struck with jealousy. The girl, who is holding the status of the class idol due to her charm and friendliness, is now the subject of their chatter. Despite the fact that Kageyama and the girl are only exchanging a few words, it is already enough to attract unwanted attention. Kageyama is feeling their eyes on him, sensing the shift in the classroom's atmosphere. The boys are beginning to whisper among themselves, discussing how fortunate Kageyama seems for even having a small interaction with the class idol. They are expressing their own desire to get closer to her, commenting on how she is even kind to guys like them, which is fueling their admiration further. Their conversation, however, is quickly taking a vulgar turn, drifting into inappropriate remarks that are loud enough for others to overhear. Kageyama, uncomfortable with the situation, is trying to ignore it, but the tension from their remarks is lingering in the air, making it harder for him to relax and nap as he had planned. Natsukawa is feeling a surge of irritation as she overhears the boys talking about her body so vulgarly. Her expression is tightening with annoyance, and her friend, noticing her frustration, is making a sarcastic remark about how the boys should at least be giving her compliments. Without hesitation, Natsukawa is sharply telling the boys to go away. Startled, they are immediately apologizing and running off, leaving the area in a rush. Meanwhile, Kageyama is resting his head on his desk, quietly observing the situation. He is thinking that even though Natsukawa seems kind to everyone, especially to the quiet types like him, it doesn't necessarily mean she's kind to everyone all the time. He is realizing that expecting someone to be universally kind is too convenient of an idea. With that thought running through his mind, he is closing his eyes, trying to block out the lunchtime chaos and settle in for his usual nap. Her friend is asking if she wants to go bowling after school, but Natsukawa is not replying directly. Instead, she is quietly sending a text to Kageyama, telling him to meet her at their usual karaoke spot after school. Kageyama notices the text and looks over at her, catching her smirk in response. Meanwhile, the other girl can tell that Natsukawa isn't paying attention to their conversation. Natsukawa quickly realizes she is getting distracted and asks her friend what they were talking about. Her friend reminds her that they were discussing bowling. Clasping her hands in apology, she explains that she won't be able to go because she has to work, promising that she'll make it up to her next time. Her friend, surprised, comments that Natsukawa always gives the same excuse about working. She even jokingly asks if it's some kind of sugar daddy work, to which Natsukawa immediately denies, her tone turning serious as she assures her friend it's just a regular job. Kageyama, who knows that Natsukawa's claim about working isn't true, stays silent, watching the exchange quietly. He is thinking to himself that she will probably bring up the real matter when they are alone at karaoke later. After school, they head to the karaoke spot, and as soon as they enter the private room, the atmosphere shifts. Natsukawa places her hands on his shoulders, leaning in closer, and urges him to hurry, saying she can't hold back any longer. Kageyama feels his face flush, blushing at how near she is. He's momentarily distracted, not just by the closeness, but also by the reality that they're alone in this private space and by the secretive nature of their relationship, which no one else knows about. She keeps pressing him to be quick, her tone filled with anticipation. Mentioning how she has been waiting for this moment. Nervous but compliant, Kageyama finally connects his phone to the karaoke room's audio speaker, setting up the music she had been eagerly waiting to sing. Kageyama, still a little flustered, tells Natsukawa that he has finished the new song she requested for the upcoming Idol Festival. It's a track designed for underground idols, and he explains that he crafted it with the idea of getting everyone excited right from the intro. He mentions how underground idols often include fan calls during performances, so he extended the intro and increased the beats per minute to heighten the energy. As he's speaking, he notices that she is starting to tear up, leaving him unsure whether the music is good or bad. To his surprise, she suddenly grabs his hand, her face lighting up with joy. She enthusiastically tells him that the song is incredible, showering him with praise. She keeps complimenting his work, marveling at his vocabulary choices, and calling him a genius for being able to create something so impressive in just a week. He quickly pulls his hand away, despite her insistence that it's fine. He firmly says that it's not fine and then asks if she even listened to his explanation about the song. She playfully teases him, asking if he was referring to how much effort he put into the music for her. He immediately denies this, feeling a bit flustered. Meanwhile, Natsukawa asks if she can try dancing to the song, and he readily agrees, happy to take a seat and watch. As she begins to dance, Kageyama is absorbed in thought, realizing they haven't yet decided on the lyrics for the song. He's surprised by how well she dances, which brings a spark of liveliness to him. He struggles to keep himself composed, surprised at how close he is to reacting strongly to her movements. He wonders if it's because they're in an enclosed space, making the atmosphere more intense and personal. After dancing for a while, she confidently asks how well she did. Kageyama responds with a modest compliment, saying that it was quite okay but not elaborating further as he feels it's a bit of a hassle to discuss in detail. Feeling hot and sweaty from dancing, she grabs a drink and orders 2 more ginger ales. As she takes a sip, she starts complimenting Kageyama again, comparing his composing skills to a modern-day Van Gogh. He feels slightly off balance at this comparison, finding it odd since Van Gogh is a painter, not a music producer. Natsukawa then becomes calmer, explaining that she doesn't have any original songs and mostly performs covers. She tells him that having his compositions is a huge help for her. As she hugs his arm around herself, he finds himself closer to her and starts to notice a sweet scent emanating from her. Kageyama, feeling embarrassed, blurts out that she must have misunderstood what he meant, accidentally implying that she might be smelly due to her dance earlier. He immediately tries to correct himself, saying that he didn't mean it that way at all and that she actually smells good. Natsukawa, however, insists on staying away, worried that she might smell sweaty. In her attempt to move back, she accidentally spills her drink on his pants. Seeing the spill, she moves closer to help him clean it up. But he feels anxious, fearing that her touch might provoke a reaction from him. He quickly tells her that he will handle the cleanup himself. At that moment, the attendant arrives with the additional drinks and notices the awkward situation. Kageyama, feeling flustered, immediately explains that it's not what it looks like and that it's just a misunderstanding. Natsukawa asks Kageyama to come over to her house after school. Initially, he had thought that with the song finished, he wouldn't need to deal with her for a while, not expecting her to invite him over. She wants him to see the completed costume she's been working on. He responds, saying he's not interested in seeing the costume, but Natsukawa is determined and refuses to take no for an answer. With a playful yet persistent demeanor, she runs off, telling him she'll give him her address later. Kageyama somehow ends up going to Natsukawa's house. As they enter, Natsukawa informs him that her mother is eager to meet him after hearing so much about him. This makes Kageyama wonder if her mother might behave in a similar manner to Natsukawa. When he finally meets her mother, he is pleasantly surprised to find that her demeanor matches his expectations. Despite her Western appearance, judging by her outfit, he greets her warmly. Her mother looks him over with interest, mentioning that she has heard a lot about him. She goes on to say that she's listened to his songs and finds them quite cool. However, she can't help but add that he is surprisingly cute, which catches him off guard. She then inquires about how her daughter is doing at school. He feels bothered by all the questions being thrown at him, which Natsukawa notices. She tells her mother that she's making him uncomfortable. Her mother quickly composes herself and apologizes, explaining that it's the first time her daughter has brought a male friend home. Natsukawa then tells him they're watching a live video and asks if he wants to join. He gently reminds her that he's just here to check the costume and leave, but her mother insists he stay for a bit, wrapping her arm around his neck in a half-hug. He eventually agrees, unable to keep declining both mother and daughter, which makes Natsukawa feel better. She asks him to sit on the couch, then goes to serve them drinks. As he takes his seat, thinking he'll have a moment to relax, he quickly realizes he's been sandwiched between the two. He glances at them both, realizing there's no way he can relax in this situation, so he quickly springs up from the couch. Natsukawa, misinterpreting his sudden movement, assumes he's impressed by the atmosphere and unable to settle down. Her expression reflects her belief that he's overwhelmed by the space, but that isn't the reason for his discomfort. Before he can clarify, she eagerly signals for him to wait, insisting he stay for the start of the song. She talks animatedly about how amazing the performance and visuals are, her excitement clear in every word. He doesn't fully grasp what she's referring to, but it's impossible to miss the way her face lights up whenever she speaks about idols. Her enthusiasm is almost contagious, and it becomes evident to him how deeply she cares about the subject. Her mother, noticing this, reflects on the shift in her daughter's demeanor. Natsukawa has always had this passionate energy, but lately it's grown even stronger. It wasn't always like this, though. A year ago, before she got into idols, things were different. Back then, she had started taking dance lessons, dedicating herself to a grueling schedule. Every day, she would travel an hour both ways, her body exhausted by the time she returned home. There were many nights when she could barely stand, drained by the intense physical and mental toll. She always gets excited before a live show, but for a while she struggles to gain any new fans. She can't achieve the kind of performance where the entire audience is united and excited. Those difficult days stretch on for about 6 months, and even though she's usually positive, it becomes tough for her. She ends up deciding to quit being an idol, crying over the decision. However, she doesn't give up entirely and keeps going. Recently, her fan base has been growing, and she's received cool songs from him, which is why her mother feels she's having the most fun at the moment. Kageyama can't help but get distracted by the mother's flashy outfit, quickly looking away to avoid staring. Just as he does, she gives him a loud smack on the back, startling him. She playfully demands that he take good care of her daughter, to which he winces, rubbing the spot where she hit him, and complains that it hurt, calling her auntie without thinking. This clearly strikes a nerve, and her demeanor changes. Grabbing him by the collar with a fiery glare, she informs him that she prefers to be called Junko. Faced with her intensity, Kageyama has no choice but to nod and agree, nervously laughing it off. Eventually, he gets to see Natsukawa's room, where he's supposed to check out the costume she mentioned. As he steps inside, the atmosphere feels different, and he becomes noticeably tense. It's his first time entering a girl's room, and the unfamiliarity makes him uncomfortable, something Natsukawa picks up on immediately. She asks him if he's nervous, but he denies it, trying to act casual, though his stiff movements betray his unease. He can't help but wonder where he's supposed to sit in this unfamiliar space. Natsukawa, seeing his awkwardness, suggests he sit wherever he likes, even offering her bed as an option. He quickly refuses, feeling embarrassed by the idea, and awkwardly decides to sit on the floor instead. As he tries to make himself comfortable, his eyes wander around the room, landing on an object that looks like a microphone but seems off somehow. His mind starts to drift, thinking it might be something entirely different. She explains that the device is a massager, perfect for sore spots, and mentions that it's been trending on ISOStar lately, with influencers using it. Kageyama feels a wave of relief, realizing it's nothing shady after all. However, before he can fully relax, she asks if he could use the massager on her legs. He immediately retorts that she can do it herself since it's her own legs, but she insists, saying it would feel different if he does it. Normally, he wouldn't even consider agreeing to something like this. Yet, after hearing the story from her mother earlier and understanding what she's been through, he reluctantly agrees. He begins to massage her legs, feeling a little self-conscious, and even Natsukawa notices how unusually compliant he's being. As she lies on the bed and he holds the massager, a stray thought crosses his mind, reminding him of scenes from adult manga with similar plots. She then warns him, half-jokingly, that if he tries to peek up her skirt, she'll seriously freak out, though she adds that she knows he wouldn't do something like that. Kageyama, flustered, quickly assures her that he won't and asks her to stop saying such weird things. As he prepares to start the massage, he can't help but break into a nervous sweat, trying to mentally calm himself by repeating that he'll just press the massager against her legs and nothing more. He activates the device and starts with her calves, but almost immediately, she makes strange, involuntary sounds. Startled, he asks her to stop making those noises, explaining that it could lead to some serious misunderstandings. She apologizes, laughing a little, and explains that it just feels weird when someone else is doing it for her. After a moment, she relaxes and tells him that he's a lifesaver, as the massage feels really good and is helping her sore muscles. He feels a mix of relief and awkwardness as he realizes he's actually helping, even if it's just with a simple massage. Looking at Natsukawa up close, his palms begin to sweat, and the proximity only heightens his nervousness. His grip on the massager slips, and before he can catch it, the device falls right onto her butt. Natsukawa lets out a loud, startled sound, making the situation even more embarrassing. Panic sets in as he quickly apologizes, fumbling to remove the massager, his heart racing from the sheer awkwardness of it all. Just as he's trying to recover from the mishap, the door swings open. Junko, Natsukawa's mother, bursts in, looking concerned after hearing the commotion. She freezes for a moment, taking in the scene, her daughter lying on the bed, he awkwardly holding the massager, and the unmistakable tension in the air. To his horror, Junko's worried expression suddenly shifts into one of approval. She flashes him a thumbs up, misinterpreting the situation entirely, and with a smirk, comments that he's surprisingly assertive. Kageyama's face burns red as he stammers, insisting that it's all a misunderstanding, trying desperately to explain what really happened. Natsukawa asks him if he's planning to attend the Golden Week Festival, and he casually replies that he isn't. He explains that he's not into events like that, especially because he can't do wadage, the intense mix of dancing and shouting typically seen at idol concerts. Natsukawa, surprised by his response, clarifies that no one actually does wadage at a live house. She explains that it's probably going to be more like a call-and-response situation, and even if he doesn't participate, just standing there would be enough. He wouldn't stand out at all. Before leaving, she hands him a piece of paper with the venue's address and confidently tells him that she'll be waiting for him there. Later, he finds himself at the concert's venue, which is packed with people. Looking around at the bustling crowd, he starts thinking that the crowd must be due to the Golden Week Festival. It's his first time at a live house, and he's immediately taken aback by how lively and cramped the atmosphere is. As he approaches the entrance, he's shocked to learn that there's a mandatory 500 yen entry fee, something he wasn't expecting. He notices that it's almost time for the show to start, and Natsukawa is scheduled to perform second. As he waits, a girl with an unusual appearance approaches him. Her presence surprises him. He's startled by the fact that a stranger, who seems out of place, has just started talking to him. The girl looks at him with a peculiar intensity and asks if this is his first time at a live house. He is taken aback by the unexpected question and the girl's strange demeanor. She then offers him some advice in a rather cryptic manner. He should not overthink anything and instead just let himself experience the performance with his soul. Curious but slightly uncomfortable, he responds that he came to see Natsukawa. The girl nods approvingly and comments that it's a nice choice. She then inquires if he is just a casual fan. Her continuous questioning becomes overwhelming, and he finally tells her to stop asking so many questions. Just as he hopes the conversation will end, the lights dim, signaling the start of the first group's performance. The girl leans in and whispers that talking during the show is disrespectful to the idols. He observes that the other fans around him are incredibly lively as soon as the intro music begins. The collective energy and enthusiasm are palpable, and he realizes this is the sense of unity Natsukawa had spoken about. The atmosphere is electric, with both the idol and the fans visibly enjoying themselves. Despite this, he finds it awkward and embarrassing to join in the loud cheers and chants for the idol. As the first performance concludes, it's finally Natsukawa's turn. She steps onto the stage and introduces herself, eliciting a particularly loud cheer from the girl with a peculiar appearance. Natsukawa announces that she will be performing a song for the first time, an original piece she has prepared specifically for this event. She invites everyone to listen closely. When the music starts, he watches in awe as Natsukawa begins her dance. The song, which was composed by him, perfectly complements the choreography she had claimed to have created in just one night. Even he has to admit that the song turned out amazing. Curious about the crowd's reaction, he looks around and notices that everyone's eyes are glued to the stage. While the attention is positive, it lacks the energy he had seen earlier during the first group's performance. The strange girl nearby seems deeply into it, but otherwise, the fans remain quiet, simply watching rather than raising their voices in excitement or calling out Natsuko's name. He wonders why they aren't getting more excited, why there aren't more chants, like the ones that filled the air during the first performance. It dawns on him that since it's the debut of a new song, the fans don't know when or where to insert their callouts. Also, since this is a festival, not everyone here is a dedicated Natsukawa fan, further dampening the energy. Feeling uneasy about the subdued atmosphere and worried that his song isn't getting the hype he hoped for, he impulsively starts a callout, his voice cutting through the silence. The crowd around him turns, visibly surprised by his sudden outburst. For a moment, he panics, thinking he's messed up and drawn attention to himself in the worst way possible. As the other fans start joining in with his callouts, the energy in the venue shifts. The crowd quickly picks up the rhythm, and the atmosphere becomes more electric with each chant. He finds himself immersed in the excitement, relieved that his impulsive action has ignited the enthusiasm he thought was missing. Natsuko's performance gains momentum, and by the time it ends, the audience is fully engaged, cheering louder than before. When the festival wraps up, Natsuko rushes over to him, clearly thrilled. She playfully embraces him, her excitement bubbling over as she acknowledges his role in energizing the crowd. He feels a sense of accomplishment, knowing that his initial frustration over the lack of hype had driven him to act, and it had worked. What started as an impulsive reaction turned into a moment that heightened the entire performance. She seems genuinely grateful, her appreciation clear as they prepare to leave. As they head out, he notices that her hair accessory is still tangled in her outfit from the show. She doesn't seem to care, leaving it in place as they walk home, both content with how the day has played out.
Here I am.